Learning how to apply the third times the charm principle and its variations is like trying to eat an elephant. Where do you begin? Where do you begin with this? Well, I have made an effort to organize what will be shown in this series in the following way. What we will do first is we will restrict our attention to even size packets, okay? And I want to emphasize this is just one way of organizing the use of this most remarkable principle, okay? But I think it's one that will prove beneficial for most, if not all, viewers. Okay, so what we will do first is we will confine our attention to even size packets, and then after we've done that, we'll move on to any size packets. Okay, so of course this category includes the even size packets as well, right? But as you can see here with the mathematics, it just gets a bit more complicated to keep track of what's going on. So as a stepping stone, I really think it is beneficial for us to start with even size packets. So that's what we're doing today. So let's go ahead. I'll set this page aside for later in the series. And we're going to focus on, as I mentioned, even size packets. Now, even within this restriction for how we study this principle, there are many, many options and choices had to be made, okay? So what I've decided to do, which I think will be helpful, is we're going to employ the Klondike Shuffle to help us. Now, the Klondike Shuffle, and I'll demonstrate it in just a moment, is a fun shuffle to watch in and of itself. Most spectators enjoy seeing it. They think it's cool, it's unusual. It may take just a little bit of practice to do it consistently and not make a mistake as you pull the top and bottom card off as one. But I don't think there'll be a steep learning curve in mastering this shuffle, okay? So since we will be Klondike shuffling pairs of cards to the table, the special card that we want to reveal at the very top of the packet at the end will be the original bottom card of the deck. Now, I mentioned here, glimpse the bottom card of a shuffled deck, okay? So that is certainly one way to proceed with all of this. You can actually start with a genuinely shuffled deck, okay, where the spectator is free to shuffle the deck as much as they like. And then at that point, what you would need to do is just catch a glimpse of the bottom card. You just kind of, tap it on the table and get a little glimpse of the bottom card, okay? Or if you would like, you can position a special card at the bottom of the deck without the spectator being aware of it. And then, as we showed you in the introductory videos, if we want to retain the bottom card here, you can do a similar thing to what we were showing earlier in that previous video, is we would want this card to fall first for our riffle shuffle, and that would maintain the bottom card at the bottom, okay? So you can riffle shuffle in such a way. The original bottom card's down here, so you just let that fall first, and then the others can fall in whatever order they may. Okay, so it can either be glimpsed from a truly shuffled deck, or it can be positioned there and then maintained there throughout some kind of mixing procedure, okay? Now, Klondike shuffling, what does that do? Well, what is the Klondike shuffle? Well, this is where you take the bottom card, just one card, and the top card off as one. And then you just build up a packet of cards by repeating that process, okay? That's a Klondike shuffle. Well, what's wonderful about the Klondike shuffle is it actually creates a packet that has an even number of cards in it, because you're pulling off pairs of cards, 2 cards at a time. So you'll have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cards as you go through this Klondike shuffling to the table. So not only will that accomplish the task of dealing out an even number of cards, it will also enable us to use the number of pairs of cards as an essential part of the routine. Okay, so let's go ahead and demonstrate it. That's a lot to take in. So for the current video today, we will focus on what I've called Routine 1, and I will show you demonstrations of this type of routine. Okay, so let me bring that over for us to look at. Okay, so here is our first performance. Let's go ahead and just demonstrate it before we look at the details here. Now, with all of these write-ups, I do want to point out that they may seem overwhelming, of course, at first. But once you step through what they're actually describing, you'll be able to go back and read them and realize, oh, these aren't very complicated. These are just stating kind of the obvious things that you would need to do to apply the 3rd time's a charm principle. Okay, so I have this supposedly shuffled deck of cards. We can do it again if you like. Okay, a couple more times. Very good. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to allow you as the spectator, and so if you want to keep an eye on these, I'm in the setup stage, so you can kind of keep an eye on that and then kind of relate it to what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to choose either your first, your middle, or your last name for us to use. Okay? And so it's a free choice. You can choose any of those. Well, my first name is Kent, middle name is Alan, last name is Bessie. Okay? So it could be that if I were the spectator, I might say, use my middle name. Oh, okay. We'll use your middle name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal pairs to the table, and the number of pairs will correspond to the number of letters in my middle name, which is A-L-L-E-N. So what I do is I just do a Klondike shuffle, take the top and bottom off as 1, so we have 2 cards on the table. So I'd say A-L-L-E-N. Set the other cards aside. We don't need them. Now, the wonderful thing about this shuffle is the original bottom card of the deck is the bottom card of the packet. And if you can't see that in your mind's eye, just try it out. When you perform a Klondike shuffle, the original bottom card stays on the bottom as you deal those pairs to the table, which is wonderful. Now, also what it's done is it's given us twice as many cards as there are letters in my middle name, because we dealt 2 cards for each letter. Well, what that allows us to do is immediately appeal to the 3rd time's a charm principle, and all I have to do is spell out. Now let me explain some vocabulary here that you may not have learned if you haven't explored other videos on the Hidden Structures channel. This COAT, capital C-O-A-T, that's kind of a mnemonic or acronym for count, out, and transfer. Count, out, and transfer. Well, that sounds maybe a bit scary. All that means is deal out a certain number of cards and then drop the rest on top. That's all it means. So appealing to 3rd time's the charm, COAT, their chosen name 3 times. So here we're going to perform the same action 3 times. So since I chose my middle name, Alan, all I have to do is spell out Alan 3 times. So A-L-L-E-N, drop the rest on top. A-L-L-E-N, drop the rest on top. A-L-L-E-N. Very good. And so what will happen, always, 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 is the original bottom card of the deck, where we started here, whatever the bottom card was of the deck originally, is guaranteed to be on top now. It always rises to the top because of this principle, okay? So if you place a special card at the bottom, or you simply note the identity of the card, the original bottom card of the deck, before you turn this over, you could either just state and say, or you could even have the spectator kind of take it and they look at it, and then you look deeply into their eyes and try to discern what card they're looking at. Is it red? Is it black? Is it a number card or face card? What's the suit and so forth. So there's a number of ways of using the fact that you know the identity of that top card and turn it into a fun interaction with you and the spectator. And you could claim that you're reading their body language. And it really is quite fun to do because, so for example, if you know that this is the Queen of Diamonds, because it was the original bottom, you could ask them, is it red or is it black? And they might put on a poker face for a second, and then you might say, is it red? Is it in fact red? And what people will do is they'll either kind of smile, or they'll somehow give away that yes, it is, right? And then you could kind of claim that, boy, you're not a very good liar, are you? Is it a face card or number card? I think, no, it's not a number. It's a face card, isn't it? Nope. They'll probably reveal, even if they don't want to, the fact that it is or whatever. Okay, so you just use your personality and your creativity to take advantage of the fact that you know the identity of this top card, when in fact it really should not be known to anybody, right? Because you have to realize they chose whether to work with their first, middle, or last name. It was a completely free choice. Well, guess what? That choice determines how many, which cards and how many cards are dealt. And then from there, all you simply do is appeal to this claimed principle that doing something 3 times will almost always lead to success. 3rd time's the charm. And so you just spell out the name that they freely chose, spell it out 3 times, and reveal that you in fact know the identity of the top card. Okay? Well, I haven't yet shown you the identity of the top card. How would we know that that's special? Well, I could name it right now if I wanted to, as long as I know what it is. I think in the case of the top card here that I wanted to finish with, I think it'll be pretty obvious that it's actually an unusual card because it's a joker. And you can have the spectator go through the whole deck, and it's the only joker there. There's only one joker in the silly deck that I placed in there. Okay, so anyway, that is performance 1. Okay, so maybe just to recap. So what you do is you can glimpse the bottom card or place a special card at the bottom. Okay. You can have it freely shuffled first if you would like, and then now you have to realize that if the cards are freely shuffled and they're in the hands of the spectator, you won't necessarily you're probably not going to know the identity of the bottom card. Okay, well, you can get a glimpse of the bottom card very easily, actually, because what you can do is you can just, under the guise of kind of straightening up the cards, you can kind of tap them on the table. And this is a technique I've shown before. And when you do that, you can kind of catch a glimpse of the bottom card. Maybe it's hard for you. I can see it super easily because I'm over here. So you just kind of, in fact, let me just show you. I can see the bottom card with the deck like that. It is the 9 of clubs. I can see it perfectly from my angle here. Okay. So if you just tap it and out the corner of your eye, you kind of catch that it's the 9 of clubs, and then don't drop the cards like I did. You'll know that, okay? So it's not too hard to glimpse the bottom card if you allow the spectator to freely mix the deck. Well, boy, if you allow the spectator to handle the cards and mix them to their heart's content and then hand them to you, and then you don't rearrange them in any way, but you kind of catch a glimpse of the bottom card. You know, just do that little glimpse of the bottom card. The whole thing is going to be even that much more amazing because they are the ones that mixed the cards, and they are the ones who chose which of their names to use for the whole procedure, which will dictate which name is spelled out 3 times. And all of those choices, which are made by the spectator, nevertheless brings to the top of the packet a card whose identity you know as the performer. Okay? So this really is an amazing, amazing little principle. And you're only getting a glimpse of the principle right here. I'm trying to keep the complexity of things down as much as possible so that you can kind of get your feet wet, and then you can kind of build on your knowledge slowly to more and more advanced applications of this principle. Okay, so there we go. That's the first example. So I've called this the setup stage. That says magic step, the spelling out 3 times. The reveal is that the bottom card, now the spectator doesn't know that, but this is you. The original bottom card of the deck rises to the top, and then here's a little reminder for strategy you should use. You know, you can either place a special card you want to reveal at the end at the bottom, or of course you can actually begin with a truly shuffled deck. And a written prediction could have been employed, especially if you placed a special card at the bottom, like I did with this silly joker, right? I could have had a written prediction that I brought out. Let's go on to the second performance. As before, we'll have you glimpse the bottom card of a shuffled deck. And a lot of spectators are perfectly happy to have you shuffle it, and you know, if they want to keep an eye on you and make sure that you're doing it right. But in the process of doing that, it's so easy for you to glimpse. I mean, even right now, glimpse the bottom card. The bottom card of all of the cards in the deck is the easiest one to glimpse because it's visible. It's hard to glimpse the top without some little shenanigans, you know, a little trick like that or something. But the bottom card is an easy one to glimpse. And really, you know, once you see it there, I see it right there, you could just make sure that on the left, that bottom card falls first. Well, what does that mean? That means I've left it at the bottom. So you'll have many, many opportunities to glimpse the identity of the bottom card. So that is not difficult. Okay, now what we're going to do differently is we're going to tell the spectator that the two of you are free to think of a random number, any number between 1 and 10. And once we get those numbers randomly chosen, we're going to add them together, okay? So you ask the spectator, okay, think of any number between 1 and 10, and maybe they choose 7. And then you are free to choose any number between 1 and 10. Now, what you may want to do is choose a fairly big number, 5 or bigger. Now, the only reason for that is if they happen to choose 1, well, just Klondike dealing 1 pair of cards to the table is not very many cards to work with. Okay, so you want a good number of cards. So they can truly choose any number. You might be wise to choose somewhere between 5 and 10. Okay, so you ask them, okay, and maybe the fair thing to do is state your number first and then they can state theirs, because otherwise they might think you'll change your number because of the answer they give. So you can freely tell them that you want 5. My favorite number is 5, and then ask the spectator, what is yours? And they might say 7. So if we add those together, we get 12. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're simply going to Klondike shuffle 12 pairs of cards to the table. Okay? Which is a lot of cards, as far as the cards themselves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Set these aside. We don't need them anymore, the rest of the deck. Oh, wow, look at all of these cards that they've chosen. So from here, what we can do, which is very, very nice, is we're going to appeal to the third time's a charm by dealing out 3 times 12 cards, which is just the number of pairs that were dealt. Now, isn't that nice? Okay, so you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Done it once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Very good. And so the original bottom card of the deck will now have risen to the top, and we actually glimpsed it at the beginning. It was the 10 of hearts, if you remember. And so you could reveal that in a number of different ways. Once again, you could have the spectator look at it, and you could try to divine what it is they're looking at. Or you could have a written prediction. Now, in this case, the written prediction would have to be written after the shuffling has been completed and you've actually spotted the identity of the bottom card. Okay, so that is one way to do this performance too. Now, I want to point out something very important from our original sheet here. So just focus on routine 1, which is what we're looking at. Now, within this statement, it says, quote, count out and transfer between n, our case that'd be 12, and 2n, or 24, cards 3 times. Now, in this routine, we counted out exactly 12 cards 3 times. In our write-up here, it points out that you would not have to use 12. Any number larger than 12 would also work up to the total packet size, which is 24. And if you count out and transfer that number of cards 3 times, it accomplishes the same thing. The bottom card rises to the top. Isn't that amazing? So we don't have to actually just deal out 12 cards 3 times. We could have dealt out any number between 12 and 24 cards. So that could be another free choice that you give the spectator. You can say, okay, we're going to test the validity of this claim that 3rd time's a charm. Surprising things happen if you repeat them 3 times. So what I need you to do is choose any number between, let's say, 12 and 24. So that's half the number of cards here, all the way up to the total number of cards. Okay, any number at all between 12 and 24. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going back in time now. Okay, so we've Klondike shuffled 12 pairs of cards to the table. The bottom card, before we start dealing out, for this 3 times the charm, was 10 of hearts. Okay, and now we're going back and saying, well, you don't necessarily have to work with 12, which was the sum of the two numbers, you can work with any number bigger than or equal to that that's not bigger than the packet size. So what number between 12 and 24 would you like us to work with? And maybe they'll say, 15. 15. Okay, let's work with 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Third time's a charm. That's only once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's a third time. Third time's the charm. It's brought just one card to the top of the deck. I wonder what this card is. It kind of feels like a number card. I think it is. Face cards are heavier because they have more ink. I don't know if you knew that, but so I think it's a number card, but it's kind of a heavy number cards. There's quite a bit of ink on this one, so it's probably a 10. Yeah, that's the highest number card there is. Let's see, hearts, diamonds, clubs, spade. I'm thinking it's red. So let's see, a red 10. Well, hearts are done. I think it's a heart. Yeah. I'm confident. I'm going to go with that as my guess. I think this is the 10 of hearts. And it is. Okay. So I'm just showing you a number of different ways that you can present this. So that is performance 2. For the third performance, this is a fun one. It always gets a wonderful reaction. You have the spectator freely choose any book. So if you're in a place where there's a few books that you could choose from, have them randomly choose any book to work with. I happen to have chosen this one, which, by the way, is a very good book if you're interested in education. So you would have them choose any page whatsoever. So they can go to any page they like. So maybe they open up to this page. Very good. And then you have them choose any paragraph. Maybe they'll choose this one down here. That's great. And then have them choose any line within that paragraph. And so maybe they go to this line here, line 6, I think. And then you ask them to choose like a beefy word. Don't choose something like a or and or those are wimpy words. Kind of choose a beefy word, that has, quite a few letters in it. And so maybe as they look at this line right here, maybe they choose the word results. So R-E-S-U-L-T-S. Okay, so they choose the word results. You say, okay, very good. We'll use that. That was a free choice made by you. So what we're going to do here is with this shuffle deck of cards, and then you can kind of shuffle it in front of them if you would like. We're going to use the word that you freely just chose out of that book. So the word, I believe, was results, right? So R-E-S-U-L-T-S. Results. Very good. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to spell out that random word that you just chose 3 times. So R-E-S-U-L-T-S, results, spelled out once. R-E-S-U-L-T-S, a second time. R-E-S-U-L-T-S, that's a third time. We've spelled out your word 3 times. Well, guess what? I think it has led to something that is highly unlikely, because it's led to the discovery of the one and only joker in this deck of cards. And then you can display that the only joker in here is the one that they revealed at the end. by way of a random selection of any book, of any page within the book, any paragraph within that page, any line on that paragraph, and then any word that they like, kind of a beefier word. Those decisions have led to the discovery and revelation of the only joker in the entire deck. How is that possible? Well, it's the third time's a charm principle in action. It's what it is. Okay, so as you might imagine, I had the joker. If you've been watching this little series, you need your special card at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so this could have either been a truly random card down here, if you allowed the spectator to just mix the cards and you glimpse it and make note of it mentally, or you can place a special card down here and then just make sure that you preserve its location. Preserve where. So here I'm doing a riffle shuffle in which I'm allowing the left-hand pile to fall first, at least that one card, before you go into a full riffle shuffle. So that leaves that special card on the bottom. We could do it again. Just make sure the left hand drops at least that one card, okay? And if you do a few of those, that convinces most anybody that the cards are beyond the knowledge of anyone, which in a real sense is true, except for the fact that you've controlled the bottom card and you happen to know what it is, okay? And as noted down here, a written prediction could have been made either because you know what card you've put at the bottom and you've maintained it at the bottom throughout some kind of mixing initially, or you glimpse the bottom card of a truly randomized deck of cards, and at that point you could write a prediction as to what the final top card of this packet will be. Okay, so anyway, that's probably enough for routine 1 on our list over here. Okay, and I guess I should also point out, just to relate it to really what is being said here, where I'm giving you actually a more general result than I've been using. I've been kind of using the simplified version where most of the time we've been, quote, coding the n number of cards and not allowing the spectator to choose a number of cards larger than that. Why don't we go ahead and just show that to you here, okay? Let me just kind of confirm it by way of a simple example. It's not a proof, but it kind of strengthens your faith. So let's kind of go back to the beginning here. So we have let's say a special card or even the joker if you want. You pull the joker out, put it on the bottom, mix it, but leave it where it is, right? And then you allow them to go through and, randomly choose a page, a paragraph, a line, a word. Let's go ahead and say that they choose pilots. But this time we're going to allow them greater freedom right at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead. And so they've chosen the word pilots. Okay, so P-I-L-O-T-S. Okay, so this is the little packet that we're going to be working with. As you know, the Klondike Shuffle, it leaves the bottom card of the original deck on the bottom of the new packet, right? Okay, so that will be on the bottom, which is where we need it. Okay, now from this point, we can spell out pilots 3 times using this third time's a charm principle. But it ends up that we can actually spell out or count out between 6 and 12 cards, okay? So you could ask them and say, well, we can spell out pilots, which is the special word that you randomly chose, or we can spell out a word that has more letters in it than that. And so maybe they say, yeah, I want to spell out a different word that has more letters than that, keeping it 12 or under. And so maybe they say, well, I want to use the word Saturday, because it's my favorite day of the week, or whatever reason they have for choosing a different word. So you can say, okay, very good, you want us to work with Saturday, and we'll spell it out 3 times and see if we really do get something surprising. So Saturday, S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y. That's the first spelling of Saturday. S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y. That's the second spelling. S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y. That's the third spelling. So will the third time's a charm aphorism prove itself to be true even now? Well, let's see. What has it led to? It's led to the revelation of the only joker in the entire deck. Okay? And it wouldn't have mattered what word they chose for the counting out 3 times, as long as it has at least the same number of letters as are found in Pilot, or up to twice that number. Okay? And I'm just showing that there's no other jokers here, right? So anyway, this is just all very much a dipping of your toes into the wonderful world of third time's a charm. So as we go through these different routines in future videos, you'll get a better and better idea as to how to apply this. And what we're going to do next time, which just opens the door wide, is we're going to allow a coding, a spelling out of different size words. So it's not the same word 3 times. It ends up that you can actually spell out different size words if you do it in the right sort of way, and this third time's a charm still works perfectly. It accomplishes exactly what we've been doing, okay? And so anyway, that's what we'll do next time in routine 2. We'll kind of extend this idea, which will give you even more freedom to apply it to an even larger set of fun performances that you can design and call your own. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to joining me in the next video in this series.